Hello traders and welcome to BinaryLearn.com. My name is Christopher Glen and this is a daily market review for the current market status. Today it is the 13th of January 2015 and let's move forward with our analysis. I've already mentioned as the calendar is pretty clean for Monday and Tuesday that we're not expecting to see a lot of liquidity, especially because important announcements are announced in China. Yesterday that was announced in China regarding the trade balance. Nothing really happened over there, and generally the Chinese market is not affecting our markets yet, but our expectation is that Chinese market will grow and grow until eventually we will receive some sort of effect regarding announcement, red announcement, important announcement of that specific area. The pound received a bit of weakness today on behalf of the CPI report, but generally again forward we can see that the market is pretty clean out of announcements, and the entire analysis will discuss what we're expecting to see tomorrow regarding the euro, regarding the dollar, and regarding the pound. All important assets, and of course we've got employment change and unemployment rate in Australia. We've already discussed this issue at the beginning of this week, but right now we should focus on the euro, dollar, and pound. So let's move forward to the chart and see what is our expectation. First of all, let's go to the gold. Over there we can make some sort of assessment regarding the dollar index. As I said, very nicely we can see this image. The market climbed higher in an A wave, dropped down in a B wave, and right now it's forming the completion of a C wave over here. I said that I'm expecting it to reach 1,255, approximately $1,255 per ounce. We can make a good assessment regarding the continuance of this uptrend looking at a lower time frame. Let's move forward to an hourly chart. So this structure, again we can see very nicely the completion of an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, and since then we've received the completion of the entire corrective pattern over here, and right now we're approaching a 1, a 2, a 3. Our expectation is to see a bit more downtrend toward the support and resistance line at 1231, and then continuance of an uptrend toward the 1255. So that is the assessment at the moment regarding this structure. Very nicely we can see that although we had a bit of weakness before, so approximately a week ago because of the holidays that we had, but right now we can see that the market is regaining its liquidity and we can start to analyze structure with more confidence. So again, looking at the general assessment, our expectation is to see the gold fluctuating a bit around the 1236.35 and then continuing its uptrend movement toward the 1255 and then beginning to collapse. If you'd like to wait with your analysis, with your investments, you can place a trend line below this uptrend structure, and once the uptrend will complete its structure, it will cross the trend line, and that will be a good entry point for a continuance of a downtrend movement. I remind you that our assessment is that the gold eventually will drop down toward the 1100 per ounce, and that is a good position for long-term investments and for the binary option if you'd like to catch strong, long, liquidized downtrend movements. In this case, when we're analyzing the dollar index, it's a good thing to view the dollar itself. Sorry, the gold, it's a good thing to view the dollar index. So on the dollar index, we can see that we've got a corrective pattern over here, dropping down, completing an A, B, and C pattern, climbing up. At the moment, we're expecting to see additional fluctuation level dropping down. I remind you that tomorrow we've got an announcement regarding the US dollar. So my assessment, combining this information with the dollar index, is that for today we will see a bit of weakness on behalf of the gold, a bit of strength on behalf of the dollar, reaching approximately the 92.5 area, and then beginning to drop down, by that adding to the strength of the gold. Remind you that the gold, we said our expectation is to see it climbing up, therefore the dollar is expected to lose strength, and after that we were expecting to see additional weakness on behalf of the gold and additional strength for the short period on behalf of the dollar index. Looking at the Japanese yen, we can say that the Japanese yen gained some strength in front of specific asset and lost some strength in front of others. we've been talking about the Australian dollar and the New Zealand when we're expecting them to gain strength. As you saw, I've marked this trend line several days ago, saying that once we'll cross the trend line, I'm expecting to see an uptrend movement. We had a very nice uptrend movement over here, very good potential trades received several times. We've received a good entry point over here, catching this uptrend movement. That was a magnificent trade. On behalf of the New Zealand, we haven't seen strong liquidized movement moving beyond the trend line yet, so I'm putting it aside. Looking at an hourly chart, we can still see this structure and in a potential to continue higher. So at the moment, again, it did not cross the trend line. We can even mark this trend line on this time frame. Expecting the market to cross a trend line, then that will be a good signal to take a call option or a long trade with a forex market. Other assets we can see that generally are expressing weakness in front of the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen was in a vacation 2 days ago, and since then it lost some strength, gained some strength, but at the moment we can't see significant movement on the majority of assets. A good asset that we can analyze today is the pound versus the US dollar approaching tomorrow. I remind you again, we've talked about some sort of weakness on behalf of the dollar index, and then that the dollar index will gain strength. It looks perfect when we're analyzing pound versus the US dollar. Why? Because we've received significant downtrend movement, meaning stronger dollar and weaker pound, and our expectation is to see a bit of weaker dollar and then dollar regaining strength. Let's look at that in a smaller time frame. As you can see, we've got a corrective pattern over here. We've received an impulse movement 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, completing an impulse downtrend movement. And since then, we've received an A wave, an A, B, C of a B wave. And right now, our assessment is that we'll see a C wave climbing up toward the 1.526. That is our target for this uptrend movement before we will see an additional downtrend movement on the pound versus the US dollar. You can trade a call option, an uptrend movement until it will reach a completion and then continue with a downtrend movement on the pound versus the US dollar. Another chart that is very, very difficult to analyze, the euro versus the US dollar, because such an amazing downtrend movement. Let's make an assessment regarding this chart. I want you to pay attention to this structure over here. We've received almost a completion of an impulse movement. We've received a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and we might see a 5th completion over here. Let's go to a lower time frame. Let's see what is this structure specifically. So an hourly chart reveals, just like we saw on the pound, an A wave climbing up, a B wave dropping down, and my assessment is that we will see a C wave climbing up very nicely toward the 1.196. This is the target for the euro versus the US dollar on this specific chart. Again, tomorrow we've got an indication regarding the dollar, very important one, and the assessment and looking at a variety of structures in the market, the assessment is that we will see a weaker dollar in the market out of the announcement, expecting the gold to gain strength, expecting the pound and the euro to gain strength in front of the dollar. And looking at it, it looks very nicely. It reflects the same structure, and this is the direction that I'll choose for tomorrow's trading. I remind you, since the beginning of the week, I said that Monday, Tuesday will be pretty weak, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be very, very nice in terms of liquidity. This is the assessment regarding the dollar for tomorrow's potential. I wish you all the best with your trades. Have a pleasant day, and bye-bye.